Let's move now to the AFC South and start with the last place team in the AFC South, Tennessee Titans. So again, this is going to be Tennessee, such an odd team. I really like a lot of the moves they made this offseason. DeAndre Hopkins can still play. We know what he's capable of doing. But you add Calvin Ridley. So you got that component with you. You add Tyler Boyd. You stole him from the Cincinnati Bengals in free agency. That's nice. They added probably the best upgrade in acquisition, L'Jarius Sneed. From the Kansas City Chiefs, you add L'Jarius Sneed and put him on your roster, who was probably the best cornerback in the league last year with the world champion Kansas City Chiefs. I really like some of Tennessee's moves. Here's what I hate. The two most important components of a football team every Sunday. Coach, quarterback. Brian Callahan may end up being good. I don't know. Here's what I do know. Vrabel's awesome. Vrabel is an excellent coach, and they moved on from him because of not a dispute, but a disconnect between him and the general manager. I hated that move by the Tennessee Titans. I thought it was a bad franchise-altering type of move for them. I think it'll come back to haunt them. And I don't buy Will Levis. Listen, I know he's got the new... Not only does he have the new mayonnaise commercials, but he's got, there's like a mayonnaise Will Levis fragrance, which I don't know what grown man on this planet would think that's a good idea other than Will Levis. He'll enjoy his mayonnaise. He'll have a couple of games. He's got a monster arm where he will blow the socks off of the great people in Nashville, Tennessee. But the roster still has a lot of holes, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, and Levis is not going to pan out. He's not terribly accurate. I have a lot of questions about his maturity. It's not going to work in Tennessee, but they'll be a fun 5-win team for what that's worth. At number 3 in the AFC South, I've got the Indianapolis Colts going 8-9. This was the hardest team to keep out of the playoffs. The more and more I sort of crunch numbers, breaking it down, doing certain predictions, looking at team schedules, it was really tough to omit the Indianapolis Colts. Anthony Richardson, again, is more like a more athletic Drake May, where I feel like his ceiling is sky high and his floor is in the dumpster. I think he's going to come closer to reaching a ceiling because Shane Steichen is a brilliant offensive mind. I still have questions about his accuracy. I like some of the pieces the Colts have offensively. They still got a good O-line. Michael Pittman Jr., they've got obviously Jonathan Taylor there still, but the Colts defense is easily bottom half in the NFL, and I think it's going to hurt them in a division with two guys, most folks believe one, I believe two quarterbacks in that division who are excellent. That's what's going to hold the Colts back. They've got the third best quarterback in that division. It's going to be hard for them to win a ton of games, in that predicament. Going to number 2 in the AFC South, it is the Jacksonville Jaguars, who returned to the playoffs after an absence at the end of last year. So the logic with Jacksonville is pretty simple, and I do have them going 10-7, by the way. The logic with Jacksonville is simple. Mid-season, week 13, the Jacksonville Jaguars had the single best record in the AFC. Better than Kansas City, better than Baltimore, better than Cleveland, better than Buffalo, better than Miami, better than everybody last year. The Jacksonville Jaguars. And then what happens? A Monday Night Football game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Trevor Lawrence hurts his ankle, and down goes the Jaguars season. Not to mention in the stretch where they went on to lose, I believe it was 4 of their last 5 games, the Jacksonville Jaguars were in a stretch where Trevor Lawrence hurt his shoulder and got concussed. So he hurts his ankle, shoulder, gets a concussion. Yeah, I'm going to go on a limb and say he's probably not going to play that well at the end of last season. Certainly at the way we saw him play 2 years ago at the end of the season to get the Jags in the playoffs by winning the division. I really like the Jags' weapons. The Brian Thomas pick was really good out of LSU. They've still got Christian Kirk, who's productive, Travis Etienne, who's an excellent running back, and the defense is opportunistic. I'm not saying it's a great 3-and-out type defense, but it's a bend and don't break. They're good in terms of getting turnovers. And Doug Peterson is still a really, really good head coach from the Andy Reid coaching tree. He's a Super Bowl champion with the Philadelphia Eagles, with Nick Foles, beating Belichick and Brady in that Super Bowl. So kudos to him. I think the Jaguars, even in a loaded AFC, do make the playoffs because when they're healthy, that's what Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence do. And that obviously leaves the Houston Texans as the AFC South champs. I've got them going 11-6, which some people may feel that's kind of low, maybe underrating the Texans a bit. I think there's a little bit. Obviously, last year, everybody other than my man Ryan Flowers underrated the Houston Texans, underrated CJ Stroud. I think this year there's a little bit of an overcorrection that there's this, they're the biggest threat to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC. I don't feel that way. A threat? Yes, not the biggest threat. CJ Stroud's awesome. We saw what he did a season ago with very low expectation for the Texans. Not only gets in the playoffs, but wins the division, wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. Will Anderson, the defensive side of the ball, wins Defensive Rookie of the Year, and D'Amico Ryans did a fantastic job last year with his side of the ball on offense and defense, and offensively they were really, really good as well. Tank Dell's back. They add Stephon Diggs, and Nico Collins is a very productive player himself, kind of the number one guy for the Texans. Dalton Schultz is a good tight end, and they've got a good running game with Dameon Pierce. So there's a lot to like about the Texans. My only concern with them is they just haven't been in that many battles quite yet. And when you're going against a team like Kansas City or a team like Cincinnati, like real battle-tested teams in the playoffs, I think that's going to potentially be their downfall this season. I got the Texans going 11-6. They do win the division, followed by the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Indianapolis Colts, and then finally the Tennessee Titans. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.